UFC Fight Night, those Anjos versus Fiziev. In the lightweight division, we got 13 fights on the entire card. I think a few fights were canceled, so now it is only 12 fights on the card. We got Ronnie, Saidyokub, Kakhramonov, Karl, Roberson, and Kennedy Nzechukwu, Tresean, Gore, Cody, Brundage, Courtney, Casey, Antonina, Shevchenko, the sister of flyweight champion Valentina Shevchenko. We got Ricky Turcios, Aiemann, Zahabi, Nunes, Cynthia, Calvillo, Jamie Mullarkey, Michael Johnson, and we got Chase Sherman, Vanderaa on the main card. I don't know why. Denis, Tiuliulin, however you say the name. Tiuliulin. I mean, that's a weird name for me. I'm just going to say Denis Tiuliulin. I mean, maybe that's how you say it. Jamie Pickett, Nurmagomedov, Douglas Silva, Andrade, Arman, Tresean, Caio, Barrio, and Rafael dos Anjos, Rafael Fiziev. But as usual, full card predictions. We're going to make a separate video on our confident picks as well. But before we get into those predictions, I want everyone to put their full list of every single one of these fights, all 12 fights on the card. Put them on the actual prediction video, and anyone out there that down below in the comment section can get 11 out of 12 of these predictions correct, I will send you $50 on PayPal or on Venmo, and I'll give you a full month of all of my UFC, Bellator, and PFL bets. All you gotta do is put the last name of every single person on this card that you think is actually going to win. So go down in the comment section, put down your predictions for literally every single one of these fights, because it's literally free money. I mean, there's no risk to doing it. You just put them down there. If you win $50. If you lose, there's really no risk. And also, if you guys want all the bets we will be making for this card, go to the last 10 seconds of any one of my YouTube videos and click the Bird MMA logo on the left. But with all that being said, good luck to you guys on your predictions. See if you guys can make some money. But we go on to the first fight here in the UFC's bantamweight division. Ronnie and Saidyokub Kakhramonov in the bantamweight division. Two guys I think can definitely make a run in the top 15 of the bantamweight division if it wasn't as stacked as it is right now. But these are some guys that have many years to improve, especially in the striking, because mostly Ronnie and Saidyokub Kakhramonov are more used to taking their opponents down, looking for the submission, ground and pounding, guillotines, TKOs, or whatever the case may be. They're just looking to get the fight down, ground and pound, takedown, and win the fight that way. But we've seen the striking advantage for this fight, and I do think it goes Ronnie Lawrence. I mean, Saidyokub is good. Saidyokub is a pretty decent striker. He has a few knockout wins outside of the UFC against undefeated Askar right there, and plenty of other knockout wins. But after watching the last fight with Ronnie Lawrence and Mana Martinez, I mean, the striking looked very crisp. He was looking really fast. His movement was very solid. I mean, he was laying takedowns left and right, ground and pounding. I mean, I think he knocked down Mana Martinez at least like 3 times in that fight. Let's see, like he knocked him out 3 times in that fight. It was absolutely insane. The dude's striking power-wise is definitely going to be better than that of Saidyokub Kakhramonov. Maybe Saidyokub can land a little bit more volume than Ronnie, because he is a little bit more of a technical striker, a little bit better in terms of the technique, the volume, and things like that on the feet. But power is definitely going Ronnie Lawrence, in my opinion. Now, wrestling and grappling, it starts to get really interesting, because if you watch Saidyokub Kakhramonov's fight with Trevin Jones, he looked really good. Had 9 minutes of total control time in the fight, and then obviously Ronnie Lawrence going out there landing thousands and thousands of takedowns every single time he goes out there. I mean, these are two super high level wrestlers and grapplers. I mean, 9 takedowns per fight for Ronnie Lawrence, and I know a lot of the other prediction channels are going to be out there saying Ronnie the Heat Lawrence is going to go out and take down Saidyokub Kakhramonov for 3 rounds. He's going to out wrestle and just grind to a decision or something like that. I'm not really thinking that. I think Saidyokub is competent enough on the ground and in the wrestling and grappling to be able to defend the takedowns of Ronnie Lawrence. Ronnie isn't a high school wrestler, isn't a college wrestler. He's just a guy that learned wrestling just based off of the need to have it in MMA as well. So I don't think this is going to be a wrestle fest. It might be a little bit like Arman Tsarukyan versus Mateusz Gamrot, where we'll see some scrambles here and there, some really good get-ups, some takedowns, but not really any control time for either guy. I see this being a 3-round strike fest. Saidyokub will win a round based off the kicking game and landing a little bit more volume, but I think Ronnie will land a few takedowns, which will count toward the judges a little bit, and then he'll land the harder shots in the feet as well. So it's a close one. It is a very, very close one. Could definitely go either way, but I think it's going to be 3 rounds of striking, and I lean a little bit towards Ronnie Lawrence there, especially because, you know, even with how close the fight is going to be on the feet, Ronnie has the opportunity, because he's just so active with his takedowns. If the round is really, really close on the feet, lands a takedown, just starts going ham on ground and pound, he can easily steal the rounds that way as well. So I'm going to go Ronnie Lawrence. I'm not 100% like super confident on him, because he is facing another good wrestler with a little bit more volume and a better technical striking attribute. So it is close. It is like one of those coin flip type of fights, like the betting odds, I believe, do have it. Could go either way. I'm going to slightly lean towards a Ronnie Lawrence by a 29-28 decision. Kennedy Nzechukwu and Karl Roberson in the light heavyweight division. Karl Roberson, 9 wins, 5 losses, not doing too good. Got submitted by Marvin Vettori, got submitted by Brendan Allen, got knocked out by Khalil Roundtree. I mean, this dude just keeps on getting finished over and over again. He has not had a good run in the UFC, but finally he's getting another guy who's also kind of on a little bit of a losing streak, but that kind of has been the case his last two with Brendan Allen and Khalil Roundtree. But this seems like a winner-go-home scenario. The loser of this fight, off to Bellator, off to PFL, to win the $1 million, whatever the case may be. Well, let's talk advantages, disadvantages, where these guys are going to win. Karl, I mean, honestly, not a lot of people like to think of him as being a really, really good striker or anything like that, but he's pretty decent on the feet, in my opinion. He actually rocked Glover Teixeira in their fight on the feet, looked very, very good in doing so. Had the better striking against Roman Kopylov, took the fight down as well. I mean, he's legit in the striking. He just never really shows it, because usually he's looking to eventually, get the fight to the ground, look for the submission and things like that. But for this fight with Kennedy and Nzechukwu, Karl needs to just put on some heavy pressure. High guard, defend the big hooks of Kennedy and Nzechukwu, close that distance, and mix in the wrestling and grappling. When I originally saw the fight, I mean, looking at the 3 last losses of Karl Roberson, I was like, Kennedy's taller, he's lengthier, he's a little bit younger. I bet the UFC probably wants him to win, whatever the case may be. My original prediction was going to be like Kennedy and Nzechukwu going out there, landing some big shots, knocking out Karl Roberson, but I've been thinking about it a little bit. I think Roberson's going to actually keep the fight very, very even on the feet. Keep it dead even. Land some big shots on the feet. And then he's going to land some takedowns. Nurmagomedov was actually losing the fight on the feet to Kennedy and Nzechukwu. And I personally think he lost that fight. I mean, I think Kennedy should have been rewarded with the win in that fight. But if the judges are giving Kennedy the win in that fight, giving Nurmagomedov the win in that fight, I think Roberson can have success with closing the distance, landing shots up top, and then mixing in the takedowns. Because yes, Kennedy's going to land the better shots. He's taller, he's lengthier, but he kind of has a problem with heavy pressure early on in the fight, and then with the takedowns and the wrestling and things like that. So it's going to be close. I think we're going to see a close 29-28 decision going either way. I mean, it could go Kennedy if he can defend the takedowns and land the harder shots. Very, very likely. I can 100% see that as an avenue to victory for Kennedy in Nzechukwu. But I think I'm going to go the underdog here. I think he is a slight underdog. I mean, it's a 50-50 almost, but some of them do have Karl Roberson as a very slight underdog. So I'm going to go Karl Roberson, this slight underdog, by a 29-28 decision right there. Cody Brundage and Tresean Gore in the middleweight division. Tresean undefeated until he fought Brian Battle, who is actually moving to the UFC's welterweight division, which I thought was very interesting. Same height and then a 3-inch reach advantage for Tresean Gore. Now, I've seen a lot of other predictors talk about this. I've even talked about this in previous videos. The way Tresean Gore wins comes down to what Tresean Gore comes out there. Is it going to be the Tresean Gore that should be named Tresean Woodley, and he's just going out there, high guard, tap, stay in a range, tap, stay in a range, not really doing anything? Because if the Tresean Tyron Woodley Gore goes out there in this fight, dude, I'm betting all my money on Cody Brundage to go out there and, land similar volume to Tresean Gore and mix in the takedowns. Cody Brundage, that's just a way of winning. If Tresean Gore is just really timid and he's just literally acting like Tyron Woodley in the fight, Cody Brundage has an easy path to victory. Is have him be timid, have him stay at range, go in with a big flurry every now and then, drop a single leg, get some control time, some takedowns and things like that, and win the fight. It really comes down, it's not Cody Brundage's fight to win, it is Tresean Gore's fight to lose. What Tresean Gore is going to come out there? The Tyron Woodley fighter that's just, waiting to the end of the round and then he starts throwing a little bit? Or is it going to be the Tresean Gore that is landing leg kicks, that is landing body kicks, front kicks, coming forward, looking for left hooks, overhands, uppercuts, and really putting on the pace and throwing volume? What Tresean Gore is going to come out there? So you can't be too confident with him, but I assume his coaches are freaking yelling at him right now in his fight camp to not be like Woodley, to go out there and pressure Cody Brundage. You're going to be focusing on takedown defense. You're going to be focusing on his entries, coming into that range of Cody Brundage, landing some shots, getting out, going in, getting out, over and over and over again. That is the game plan of Tresean Gore. He has the reach, so it's not necessarily he has to put on a crazy pace and come forward on Cody Brundage for 3 rounds, but he does need to push the pace a little bit. He can't just stay back. I mean, he can't be on the back foot for the whole fight. There has to be some portion of the fight where he's on the front foot, just looking to jab, 1-2, pressure forward, leg kick, body kick, pressure forward, and then when it's needed, take that double step backwards, get out of the range of the takedown for Cody Brundage. So I think there is a clear path to victory for Tresean Gore. If I was Tresean Gore, I can give you all the secrets to easily win this fight. I mean, I have the formula for you. Just will you choose to use the formula? I think he will. I'm not confident in it because you never know with Tresean Gore. He didn't really follow through on a very good game plan in his last fight. But we shall see. I'm going to go Tresean Gore by a 29-28 decision. 1 round will go Brundage. Eventually, he'll find a way to close that distance and land a takedown. Other 2, I'm going to go Tresean Gore. The odds on this one, I mean, there's so many 50-50s on here, but as close as they can be. -113 to -113. Literally a coin flip fight. I'm going to go Tresean Gore by a unanimous decision. Antonina Shevchenko versus Courtney Casey in the flyweight division. Again, this is women's MMA. My prediction here is not like, oh, for sure I'm going Casey, for sure I'm going Shevchenko. Probably one of my least confident picks of the card. I'm just gonna lay it out to you. I'm gonna go on Antonina Shevchenko. She is a little bit taller, she's a little bit lengthier, and she's the better striker. And Courtney Casey is not a good wrestler. That's literally it. I mean, I've looked at film on Courtney Casey. I've looked up film on Antonina Shevchenko, and the only real way Antonina Shevchenko loses her fights is getting taken down. She got taken down 3 times in literally all of her losses. Literally every single loss in the UFC, she was taken down 3 times or 5 times. Caitlin Chukagian, Andrea Lee, Casey O'Neill, and Roxanne Modafferi were all able to go out there and land the takedown. And that is what I've been able to gather from all the film. If you're able to take down Antonina Shevchenko, you're going to win the fight. If you're not able to take her down, she's got really good striking, and she's going to use her range, her kickboxing, stay at range, lend a little bit more volume, the harder shots, and just win the fight. I mean, in this fight with Courtney Casey and Antonina, she's going to land more volume, she's going to hit a lot less than Courtney Casey, and she'll win a good unanimous decision right here. I mean, the only path to victory, like I said, is the takedowns for Courtney Casey, which she's only averaged, a quarter of a takedown per fight, with 27% accuracy in the UFC. Yeah, that's not good. That isn't really that good. So I'm going to go Antonina Shevchenko. I'm not confident because it is women's MMA, but thinking about it logically, it should honestly be a confident pick. But I never really have women's MMA fights as confident picks. But she's better pretty much everywhere. The only path to victory is something Casey is not good at. So I think this is a tailor-made matchup for Antonina Shevchenko. I'm going to go Shevchenko by a unanimous decision. Aiemann Zahabi and Ricky Turcios in the bantamweight division. Ricky is 29 years old. He is taller, and he is lengthier. I'm going to give you the prediction right now. Ricky Turcios. You're going to watch my confident picks video later. He is very high on that list. Ricky Turcios is going to win the fight. He throws more volume. He has the better wrestling. He's got the better grappling. He is taller. He is lengthier. He is faster. And then, yeah, you know, the power advantage could go Aiemann Zahabi. Aiemann is a very, very powerful guy. Knocked out Draco Rodriguez bad in the last fight with that overhand right. And has technically got a finish in almost every single fight except for one against Reginaldo Vieira inside the UFC. I think this fight goes to a decision. I don't see Aiemann Zahabi necessarily getting knocked out here. But Turcios, man, I mean, you want to see the UFC stats on Ricky Turcios. I watched his fight with Brady Heisen. I've watched his Contender Series fights. I mean, I've watched so many fights from Ricky recently because they're just such entertaining fights to watch. This dude throws way too many punches, like 7 strikes per minute. 7 strikes per minute he is landing, which means he's probably throwing about 15 strikes a minute. That is insane volume for Ricky Turcios. Again, I'm going to give the striking advantage to Aiemann Zahabi, but I think Ricky Turcios should have no problem going out there, landing the more volume, landing more kicks, more punches, putting on the pressure on Aiemann. You know, maybe he does get a late finish, but I'm going to go 30-27 Ricky Turcios. I mean, his nickname should not be pretty. It should be Ricky Volume Turcios or Hadouken Turcios. Ricky Turcios by a unanimous decision. Cynthia Calvillo and Nina Nunes in the flyweight division. Am I the only one that doesn't really want to see this fight? I mean, it's a 35-year-old Cynthia Calvillo who has looked awful recently. I'm just gonna say it to you. She's looked awful recently. Got knocked out by Jessica Andrade, and she literally quit on the stools against Andrea Lee, and then she got outstruck for 3 rounds against Caitlin Chukagian. She was doing good before that. I mean, she beat Joanne Calderwood, Paulina Motello, Courtney Casey, Jessica. I mean, she was doing okay before that, but these recent fights, she's looked horrible. I mean, horrible. I mean, anyone that just puts an ounce of pressure on Cynthia Calvillo, they'll beat Cynthia Calvillo. And Nina is not really that girl. She's a little bit taller, not as lengthy, the same amount of length as Cynthia Calvillo. If she was like a crazy pressure fighter that just came forward and tried to land volume, on Cynthia Calvillo in the fight, I might have to go Nina Nunes to win this one. But again, this is the weirdest MMA fight for me to predict, because first off, Cynthia has looked horrible in her last fights. Nina just got destroyed in her last 2, Tatiana Suarez and then Mackenzie Dern. She just had a freaking baby. I mean, there's so many weird factors in this fight that I don't know what they're gonna look like. I mean, it's been 7 months since Calvillo has fought, and she's been knocked out twice in her last 2 fights. Nina, it's been a year since she's fought. I don't know what they're going to look like. I don't know what improvements both girls have made since their last fights. This is literally a shot in the dark. This is literally a shot in the dark. I'm going into a back alley, and I'm like, all right, Nina, all right, Cynthia. I mean, it's one of those fights. I have no confidence picking either girl. Neither should you. Do not bet this fight. Do not be confident in this type of fight. It's a horrible fight to be going out there being like, yeah, I got Cynthia Calvillo winning. It's just one of those fights. So Cynthia could land the takedowns. We saw Mackenzie Dern land the takedown and get the fight down, look pretty good. Has Cynthia been able to land any takedowns in her last 3 fights? No. So I don't know. It's women's MMA. I have no idea what's going to happen in the fight. So I'm going to take a shot in the dark of the underdog. I'm going to go Nina Nunes. Her odds right now, what are they? Let's see if I find them. Like plus 128 right there. It's a shot in the dark. I'm going to go Nina Nunes. I think she'll find a way to defend the takedowns. It's been a year off. Her last fight was against a grappler. She was able to defend pretty decently until she did not defend the takedown. I think she'll defend it. We'll see 3 rounds of pretty boring striking. Nina Nunes, 29-28 decision. Not confident. It's women's MMA. They're off of big layoffs. They've both been finished. One of them has had a baby. Don't bet on this fight. I mean, trust me, do not bet on this fight. Nina Nunes by a 29-28 split decision. Michael Johnson and Jamie Mullarkey in the lightweight division. 6 foot tall and a little bit lengthier as well. So he has the physical attributes over Michael Johnson, but I'm going to be honest, Michael still has the striking advantage. I don't know what a lot of people are thinking. I've seen some predictions out there saying Mullarkey has the power advantage, Mullarkey is the better striker, he throws more volume. I've heard a lot of these weird takes on Jamie Mullarkey. I'm going to be honest. He's not the better striker. He's got good power. He knocked out Kama Worthy, and then he knocked out Devontae Smith. He might have the power advantage over Michael Johnson, but he's not the better striker. Michael is one of the best, skilled strikers in the lightweight division. There's guys out there that have more power than him. Like Josh Emmett was able to go out there and knock him out. There's guys that are able to outpower him and knock him out, like Gaethje, Diaz, Nurmagomedov, whatever the case may be, but no one's able to really out-point strike him, out-speed him, out-volume him, out-move him, and things like that. So I'm going to give the advantage on the feet to Michael Johnson here. I know a lot of people are on Jamie Mullarkey. A lot of people are fans of Jamie Mullarkey. I am as well. I love this fight. It's probably going to be fight of the night. I think it goes 3 rounds. I think we see 3 rounds of really good striking from both guys here. Originally, I had Jamie Mullarkey win in the fight because I thought, he can mix in the wrestling, he can mix in the takedowns and things like that, like we've seen in a lot of his UFC fights. But he kind of seems like a guy that has fell in love with his striking a little bit. Early on, 3 takedowns per fight, 32% accuracy. Not necessarily the best, but he got 5 takedowns on Fiziev, 3 takedowns on Brad Riddell right there, doing pretty good, But then since then, got a knockout win, got another knockout win, and he really just stopped going for the takedowns consistently. It was more 3 rounds of striking, getting knocked out or getting the knockout, having good fights and things like that. He just hasn't really been on that wrestling game plan in the last few fights. So if he was on the wrestling game plan, which I don't know if he will, we can't really know until the fight actually starts, but until Mullarkey goes out there and says, I'm going out there, I'm gonna go for the takedown, I'm gonna look to wrestle, grapple, and stuff like that. Until he goes out there publicly and says that, or until the beginning of the first round, if he goes for a takedown, until then, I'm gonna go Michael Johnson. Michael's the better striker. He's faster. He's a little bit more volume. He's got more experience, power. Yeah, it could go Mullarkey, but I think the volume goes Johnson. And I think 3 rounds of Mullarkey, Johnson on the feet, I think Johnson will slightly edge it out. But you never know. Again, will he wrestle? Will he not? It's the same thing with Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland. If Sean decides to be dumb and keep the fight on the feet, of course I'm going Pereira. And that was my prediction. Same thing here. Mullarkey decides to be not really that smart and decides to strike with Michael Johnson. I think he'll lose a decision. So I'm going to go Michael Johnson by a 29-28 decision. I think Mullarkey will rock him in one of these rounds, and that will be the round he wins because he does have the power advantage. But overall, I'm going to go Michael Johnson. 29-28. Unanimous decision as I believe this is the 3rd underdog we have in the card. We got a lot of underdogs on this card, but I am going to go, if we can find it, the 2-1 underdog, Michael Johnson, by a 29-28 decision. Jared Vanderaa and Chase Sherman in the heavyweight division. Chase, garbage. He's on a 4-fight losing streak. 2 good guys, top 15 caliber guys, Andre Arlovsky, Parker Porter, Jake Collier, and then Alexander Romanov. But he's smaller here. He's not as lengthy as Jared Vanderaa. He's not as good of a striker as Jared Vanderaa. He's not that good of a wrestler as Jared Vanderaa. Not as good of a grappler as Jared Vanderaa. I'm going to be honest. Jared Vanderaa is literally better everywhere. We saw this fight with Justin Tafa, which proves to me he's going to have some good striking. I wasn't really able to use it in his most recent fights. Freaking Alexander Romanov. Of course you're not going to be able to use your striking. Andre Arlovsky, he was able to use his striking and arguably won that fight. And then his last one right there, Alexei Oleinik, wasn't able to show the striking. I think he actually has the striking advantage over Chase Sherman in the fight, and if he needs to, he can land the takedown. Landed a good takedown on Alexei Oleinik, got reversed, But if he's able to land the takedown at least, should be able to land at least 1 or 2 on Sherman. If not, he still has the striking advantage as well. So I am going to go Jared Vanderaa to win this fight. We'll go with decision. Andre Arlovsky, Parker Porter, things like that. They're both kind of low-level heavyweights, not really with the best finishing ability. So I think the fight goes all the way. Pretty boring. Tip-tap heavyweight 3-round fight. Vanderaa by a unanimous decision. Jamie Pickett and Denis Tiuliulin in the middleweight division. Correct me if I'm saying that one incorrect. 33 and 34 years old. A little bit taller and a little bit lengthier for Jamie Pickett right there. Jamie is a little bit more experienced in the UFC, fighting Nzechukwu, Jordan Wright, then beating Loreno Serapoli and Joseph Holmes. So he's been doing pretty decently against UFC fighters. He has a record of 0-1, 0-2, 0-4. He has a record of 2-6 or 2-7 or something like that. So he hasn't really been doing too good in the UFC against UFC caliber guys, but this isn't really a UFC caliber guy. Denis Tiuliulin is not really, in my opinion, a guy that should be in the UFC. This is one loser of this fight. Off to the G Leagues, off to Bellator, whatever the case may be. Denis puts on good pressure. He's got good volume. He's able to go out there, just pressure forward and throw bombs, and he's able to land and get the knockout. He has a lot of knockout wins on his record, so that is a path to victory. It's not wrestling, it's not grappling, it's not kickboxing. It's literally just bum rushing Jamie Pickett and throwing bombs. That is the way Denis Tiuliulin wins this fight. The way Jamie Pickett wins, do what he should do. Stay at range, use his height, use his length, stay at range, jab, 1-2, body kick, leg kick, body kick, leg kick, body kick, leg kick, jab, 1-2, body kick, leg kick. I mean, make a song, I don't even care. That is literally the strategy for Jamie Pickett. And as Denis Tiuliulin starts to impose his game plan of coming forward, walking down Jamie Pickett, and looking to throw bombs and get the knockout, as he's doing that, either you're going to have some really good movement and some really good juking skills to get out of the way of those big combinations, or you're going to have to counter with a double leg. As Denis is coming in, as he's throwing those big shots, counter with the double leg takedown, get a little control time and things like that. That is the game plan for Jamie Pickett. That is the game plan for Denis Tiuliulin. Literally, Denis, pressure forward, look to land a bomb, and knock out Jamie Pickett. Jamie, stay away from that bomb. Let's keep on moving around the cage, kickbox with Denis Tiuliulin, and mix in takedowns as he is coming in. All that being said, I'm gonna go Jamie Pickett. I think he'll be able to kind of work in the game plan that I just suggested, and he should be able to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Nurmagomedov versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. In the bantamweight division, he's not related to Khabib. Anyone out there is not related to Khabib. All right. 37 years old, 30 years old. Height advantage going Saeed. Reach advantage going Saeed. And striking advantage going Saeed. For anyone out there saying that Saeed Nurmagomedov is a crazy wrestler, crazy grappler, because he's out there going with a Nurmagomedov last name, shut up. He's not a grappler. He's not really a wrestler. He does have a really tight guillotine that he used in his last fight with Cody Stamen. He used it on the regional scene against Anderson Dos Santos, another UFC fighter as well. And he's just, that's really his only submission. Arm bars and guillotine. So if that tells you anything, those submissions are where you're on bottom position. So no, the game plan for Saeed is not to lay in the takedowns. It's not the Khabib smash. He's not related to Khabib. All right. He's taller, he's lengthier. Power-wise, you got to give it to Douglas. I mean, Douglas is just insane with the power. The man beat Marlon Chito Vera. The man has beaten so many high-level fighters, and he's fought so many high-level guys. It's absolutely insane. I mean, the UFC is just giving him the killers of the bantamweight division. Zubaira Tukhugov, Rob fought Marlon Vera, Piotr Yan, Henan Barral, Lerone Murphy, and things like that. I mean, it's been absolutely insane. But after all of those murderous rows of fighters that he went on with that little up and down streak, went out there and starched Gaetano Perello with that left hook, and then he just landed some huge shots on Sergey Murazov, and then he submitted him in the second round. The fight with Sergey Murazov leads me to believe that, Saeed Nurmagomedov is not finishing this man. This dude is unfinishable. I mean, Douglas Silva de Andrade, I don't know how he did not get finished by Sergey Murazov, but I don't know. He didn't get finished by Lerone Murphy either, but he did get guillotined by Rob Font right there, which is a little bit interesting. But as long as he doesn't attempt any takedowns, which I doubt he will, there should be 3 rounds of very, very good striking. Douglas looking to counter with some big shots, and Saeed using his speed advantage and his volume advantage. So they just get in and out, in and out, in and out throughout these 3 rounds. So it's a close one. I'm going to have to go Saeed Nurmagomedov. He's a little bit more technical. He's a little bit faster. He's taller, and he is lengthier. I think he Stays away from those big, powerful hook shots, uppercuts, overhands, and things like that. Stays away from that type of stuff and just goes in and out, straight down the middle, using the kicks at range and things like that. I'm going to go Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin. No, he's not. He's not related to Khabib. I'm going to go him to win this fight by a unanimous decision. Caio and Arman Petrosyan in the middleweight division. Now, this is an amazing fight. These two guys, the winner here is getting a top 15 fight. I guarantee you. Maybe they won't. Maybe they won't. I mean, Caio is on his second fight in the UFC. Arman Petrosyan is also going to be on his second fight in the UFC. I don't care. Give these guys a top 15 fight. These guys are such good prospects for this middleweight division. It is absolutely insane. Arman went out there, was able to defend takedowns against Gregory Rodriguez and just land some crazy big shots. His kicking game was absolutely amazing. His striking was absolutely amazing in that fight. I mean, this is one of the best strikers in the middleweight division I have seen in a while. He landed double the strikes on Gregory Rodriguez in the fight, was able to eat strikes on the feet as well, able to survive. I mean, that fight was an absolute banger, and Arman ate everything from Gregory, came back and landed double the strikes, and was able to defend the takedowns pretty well. He was only controlled for 1:34, which is insane. So anyone out there saying Caio is going to absolutely dominate this fight has not researched Arman Petrosyan. Arman Petrosyan is a future top 15 fighter. Caio is a future top 15 fighter. These guys are the future of this middleweight division. And Arman is a super live underdog. He's a super live underdog. He's more powerful than Caio. He's got more kickboxing experience than Caio. He's a little bit taller than Caio as well. He kicks better than Caio. Yes, jiu-jitsu goes Caio. The speed goes Caio. So it really comes down to, will Caio get the fight to the mat? Caio is a legit jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's young. Was able to go out there against an undefeated Russian, Gagiomar Gagiev, an amazing wrestler and grappler. Like I said, my prediction for that fight was Caio by unanimous decision. As an underdog, he was able to go out there and dominate Gagiomar Gagiev in the fight. And in this fight as well, I don't think he's going to dominate Arman Petrosyan, because I think there will be a round Arman Petrosyan will win because of the fact he is the better striker, he's more powerful, and things like that. But for the most part, I think Caio will eventually be able to close that distance and land the takedown. Yeah, Arman will land some big shots before then, but as soon as Caio can get the fight to the ground, he's not letting Arman back up. Gregory Rodriguez wasn't able to keep Arman Petrosyan on the ground, but this is a different guy. Caio is kind of like an Aljamain Sterling in that he's not going to get in the full guard position and just ground and pound you, keep you there like a Khabib smash. He's going to get your back, and he's going to hold that rear naked choke position, kind of like an Andre Muniz or an Aljamain Sterling. So it's a close fight. Arman is a super live underdog right here. Again, both guys will be in the top 15 in like a year, in my opinion. But I'm going to go Caio very slightly to win the fight by a 29-28 decision, winning 2 rounds, keeping the striking really even, mixing in the takedowns and submission attempts. Then the fight goes all the way. I'm going to go Caio by a unanimous decision. Rafael dos Anjos and Rafael Fiziev. We got the Rafaels attacking each other. The new Rafael and the old Rafael in the lightweight division. Same height, little bit of a reach advantage for Rafael Fiziev. Now let's talk advantages. We already know what the advantages are. Rafael Fiziev has the, I would say, power advantage. I mean, he knocked out Renato Moicano when they fought, and then he wheel kicked Brad Riddell when they fought as well. He definitely has the power advantage in my opinion. He has the Muay Thai advantage. He has the kickboxing advantage. He has the striking advantage. We all know that. But where does Rafael dos Anjos have the advantage? Number 1, cardio. Number 2, volume. Not early on. I'm not saying like first or second round or even third round. He's going to have the volume advantage, but I guarantee you, if this fight does go to a decision, once we look at the UFC stats next week for this fight, I guarantee you round 4 and round 5, RDA is going to land more volume, whether it's in the clinch, whether it's at range, whether it's on the ground. Rafael, volume-wise, late in the fight, has the advantage. Early on, we'll give it to Rafael Fiziev. Another advantage, other than cardio and volume late, is going to be wrestling. And then it's going to be grappling. Then it's going to be control and things like that. We already know that. I mean, we know that's the game plan. Nobody's going to go out there to try to strike with Rafael Fiziev for 5 rounds. Impossible. There's no chance in heck Rafael dos Anjos is trying to strike with Rafael Fiziev. It's not freaking happening. It's just not happening. I'm going to say it right now. Not gonna happen. But he's not going to knock out RDA. RDA has a good chin. Hasn't been knocked out in like 6 or 7 years. He's been able to stay away from those power shots from most of his opponents for a while. Fiziev has been able to defend the takedowns for the most part as well with a 95% takedown defense. So early on, we will give the advantage to Fiziev. Fiziev's going to look amazing early on. He's going to defend the takedowns. He's going to slip off the takedowns of dos Anjos very, very well in the first round, in the second round. But later on as the fight goes, the later this fight goes, dos Anjos is going to start to pull away a little bit. It's going to be like Mateusz Gamrot versus Arman Petrosyan, but a little bit of a kind of like the same thing. Like 2 rounds, Arman Petrosyan went out there, was laying the body kicks, laying the strikes, out-voluming Arman Petrosyan, and winning round 1 and round 2. Then round 3, round 4, and round 5, the volume started to get very, very close, and Gamrot was starting to lay in the takedowns. Same thing I think happens here. Fiziev is going to look really, really good early on, but as the cardio starts to set in, as the sheer pace and just coming forward and pressure of Rafael dos Anjos really starts to take effect, for Rafael Fiziev, that is where RDA is really, really going to start to shine. And I really think it's going to come down to who wins that third round. Because round 4, round 5, dos Anjos. Round 1, round 2, go Fiziev. Round 3, who wins that round? I don't know. But dos Anjos will know that he has to win the round. If he loses round 1, round 2, his coaches know he's going to have to go all out in that third round to make sure he wins the round. Because then after that, if he's able to win round 3, he's got to win. He's got to win, and I'm live betting the heck out of dos Anjos. If he goes out there and wins round 3, I'm live betting the heck out of dos Anjos. But I think he'll land the takedowns, put on the pressure in the 3rd and 4th and 5th rounds. Got the underdog. I'm gonna go the underdog. I'm gonna go the underdog right here. When the first fight was announced, like at UFC, what was the pay-per-view? Was it a pay-per-view or just a main event or something like that? When it was announced for that main event right there for 5 rounds, when it was announced for this card right here, Covington versus Masvidal, both fight cards I had Rafael Fiziev winning, especially when it was a 3-round fight. I guarantee you, if this fight was 3 rounds, I would be all over Rafael Fiziev. I'd be telling everyone, Rafael Fiziev definitely going to win the fight, but it's a 5-rounder. It's championships. We're going 4 rounds, we're going 5 rounds, and I think it will go those 4 and those 5 rounds. I'm going to go dos Anjos by a very, very close, controversial 48-47 split decision on the judges' scorecards. Very close fight in the lightweight division. I'm going to go Rafael dos Anjos by decision, Caio by decision, Nurmagomedov by a decision, Jamie Pickett by decision, Jared Vanderaa by decision, underdog, Michael Johnson by decision, Nina Nunes, underdog by a decision, Ricky Turcios by decision, Antonina Shevchenko by decision, Tresean Gore by decision, Karl Roberson by decision, and Ronnie Lawrence by decision. You guys can obviously hear what I just said. I have every single fight ending as a decision. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. No, for sure, some of these fights will end as a finish. Yeah, there will be a few. So, I will give you the list of most likely finishes, number 1 to number 12, to number 12, on the fights that I think have the highest probability that we're gonna see a finish. Number 1, Caio, very, very likely that we see a finish in that fight. Number 2, Karl Roberson, can 1,000% see a finish happening there. Number 3 is going to be Michael Johnson. Number 4, we'll go Jared Vanderaa. Number 5, honestly, that's it. I don't really see too much of a path to victory for any of the other fights to have a decision. So it's literally just those 4 and 5 that I think have like a chance of there being a finish. Other than that, I think we're going to see a lot of decisions on this card. A lot of decisions started. But those are the full card predictions. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. Check the link in the description if you want to become a channel member for all the bets that we're making on the card. But thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Let's go.